righty, check this out. Rats, bugs, snakes. Which one freaks you out more?
Oh, snakes.
Snakes.
Oh,
Oh, see, rats.
Not even
Rats. That's
I do not like snakes.
I could in Temple of Doom. I can stick my arm in there.
In the snakes?
I could do that. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to, but rats in Last Crusade freak me out on.
I guess
a
snakes
level.
a faster death.
Yeah.
Rats are just going to eat you apart.
Rats, just the idea.
But in
of it,
most cultures, this is like lunch.
No, and by the way, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And check this out here. We're talking all about Indiana Jones here, and then basically they would kind of put the goo in under there, so you kind of got the gooey stuff, and they could kind of then go like that,
Yeah,
which
lunch.
is kind of
Yeah, yeah.
wonderful. So we are staring at this incredible Indiana Jones collection from the Treasures of Planet Hollywood. We were just talking about this off camera, but I feel like it's worth bringing up. At one point or another, you said there were like over 100 Planet Hollywoods. I mean,
100 Planet Hollywoods.
I remember you couldn't watch Entertainment Tonight without seeing like Schwarzenegger or Stallone.
Demi Moore, Bruce
Willis,
exactly.
In some foreign country.
Charlie Sheen.
Yeah, they'd be like in Thailand opening up.
Melanie Griffith and Donna Johnson. It was like everywhere. Cultural phenomenon.
Just wild. And they were not only getting stuff directly from the productions, but they were active buyers.
Yes.
And they were active bidders in auction.
Planet Hollywood, you know, if it wasn't for them early on, I don't know where this hobby would have gone.
Oh, interesting.
Because when I started in '96,
they were buying from you.
There were 5 people buying.
Right.
Right. And if they would.
And they were 2 of them.
Yes. And Robert and Keith, they were 2 of them because Robert and Keith had different
tastes and whatnot,
completely
or just
different everything. Keith was on the East Coast, Keith Barish, and Robert was on the West Coast. Reverse. Robert was on the East Coast, Keith was on the West Coast, but they liked different things. Right. Keith bought them the Judy Garland pinafore that I sold.
So he was more classic.
The Robin Hood Errol Flynn that I sold, you know, and Robert was more of like his aesthetic, which was more of this world.
Sure.
So they bought different things with a much different view of what the restaurants would look like inside, right? And that's why you're back in the time machine here. You feel like in the 80s and 90s, like this is where it all went, right?
Well, this little collection, and this is not everything, but this is a lot of things. I mean, this collection just speaks for itself on some level. But the piece de resistance, and I would certainly argue, you know, again, we've been talking a little bit about like what are going to be the, I don't know, the top 5s. This for me is certainly up there. Let's just show this off. This is a whip that they purchased at a Sotheby's auction.
1993 Sotheby's, London. And this whip has been written about in blogs, and we all go back and like, this was the mother lode that came up at auction, where we're still not 100% sure, but we're pretty confident this is Temple of Doom, and it's the scene.
Temple of Doom, a little, you know, look, over the years, you can see it a bit from being on display. It's faded a little bit, but just a really nice provenance and just a gorgeous piece. A piece that I will say privately, I feel like collectors have made runs at Planet Hollywood for years, and this was sort of one of the big targets where it was
six-figure
like, will
offers.
you sell us this whip unto itself? So this whip, I just speaks to it, and I mean, I'm going to just do this, and then of course we'll have to put it all back, but it is just kind of great to see it.
But it's one of the greatest props you could possibly ever own. And
it's still got, this is the clapper, I think they call it at the end here, and it's still there, which is great. Some of them are missing. Some of them are missing like the bits and pieces. That's still there. The handle, the different movies have different length handles, which is another sort of piece of how we sort of figure out what movies what. But just
you can kind of see the original color that's left. So
yeah,
obviously,
definitely
this was displayed for years, and you could see like over the years the color changed. But we have a scene when he's on the bridge, and you know it. Yeah. You know, you can't go in a time machine and take it out of his hand, but it sure looks like that.
Check it out in your own 4K copy and see what you think. I'm going to just jump to a couple of these other pieces. This is also from Temple of Doom. This is from Last Crusade. This is the opening, the boat sequence.
When the fight.
Yes, exactly, with the Cross of Coronado, which I just love.
And this was also Costa Rica.
Yes.
Another one of these untouched, and I really pointed out because that was the last untouched restaurant. Of
Gotcha.
all the facilities we ever visited, Costa Rica was this myth because it was hard to get to,
Right.
right? And it was a
I just love the idea though that like, yeah, I'm going down to Costa Rica, I'm gonna do some hiking and whatever, whatever, and then maybe go to Planet
but it
Hollywood.
was
Yeah.
like, but we were when Brian and I were like always at the like when we're putting this thing together, we need the Costa Rica stuff. It was like we became this
Right.
crusade to get this because it was like,
It's in
this is
Costa
so
Rica. Yeah.
amazing that it survived.
Well, their pieces just in general. I mean, we're gonna pull this guy out. So chilled monkey brains. This one's got
With brains.
a little bit of brains in it, which is always kind of
I
nice.
think we've sold 3 of
No,
these.
these exist,
Yeah.
but yeah.
But it's like it's an iconic moment.
But it's what's interesting is these are now pieces that, I don't think they got a lot of these, my guess is they didn't get from production. These were pieces they just were acquiring back when they were spending money.
I think a
which is
little
kinda
bit
great.
like stuff definitely was coming out and more stuff came to them. Like we passed on a whole wall of Indiana Jones miniature darts and
Oh, interesting.
canisters that were made of wood because they're real,
Right,
but
but
probably from a
what are
scene that
they?
was
Yeah.
never made, but they had tonnage of them from the production. So like we don't know
Right.
what they were.
So these obviously are 3 of the Shankara stones. These are the sort of the non-light up, the original version of them. But I did want to show off this one in particular. And what's really interesting about it is it's still got a little bit of the probably the set putty, I guess, I don't know, the sticky stuff that basically would allow it to sort of sit in place, which is just kind of wonderful. And there's a light up set in the catalog as well
Yes.
that obviously we're not looking at here. Various swords and stuff from Temple of Doom, but I'm gonna, sorry. Cup of the Carpenter, also Last Crusade. Really interesting. And then a couple of these prototype voodoo dolls.
Right.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
is just sort of an interesting, and again, by the way, talk about something probably that came from production, talk about something that was kind of a work in progress, just sort of really interesting, sorry, as I move the bugs, to sort of see the evolution. And I don't know, I'm sort of fascinated by this just from a sort of production standpoint of just sort of the development of this as a prop.
Yeah,
I
it's a
think there's
problem.
something
And,
really
and I think that
interesting.
was one of the things we
Yeah,
found out when we were doing this, where as we'd uncover the bugs and, we had tonnage of swords,
right.
like there was a moment where they must have bought quite a bit of background from definitely from
Right.
the
Just
production company.
acquired,
Because there's
yes.
no way you could have
I've
this many
I've
swords.
seen individual bugs. We've all seen individual bugs, but the idea of seeing this many of the
Yeah,
bugs
and
is
that
kind of
and
wonderful.
and
Yeah.
again, that was the kind of thing we
Yeah.
wanted to do at this auction where as opposed to selling one of these, we wanted to and that was the big thing that Brian and I wrestled with was let's just put it all in.
But the opportunity with this many bugs, and I mean
That's
this in a
right.
great way, that you can have one of the bugs from Peacock Palace, from,
A key
Indiana Jones
scene.
and the Temple of Doom, key scene, one of the 3 movies that I will acknowledge existing, because I pretend like those other 2 don't exist. But you can have a genuine piece from an Indiana Jones movie, and with the sheer number of the bugs, I don't think it's going to be that bad. And that is a fucking wonderful thing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Because you and your 4 or 5
Yeah.
friends could go in and say, let's
Yeah,
$800
everyone
a
gets
piece
one.
get a bug.
Everyone gets one.
And
Yeah.
and but there are no more after this. So one thing I will say is when we decided to do the auction, I just want to make sure everybody understands is this is it. Like when we went through these films, when we get further along and look at Judge Dredd and these things, there's no more. I mean, what you're seeing is like there's not going to be another one of these in 6 months. This is the mother lode.
The 2025 all bug auction is canceled.
100%.
Yeah. No, it is just wild. And the opportunity, again, I look at it as an opportunity. That I know that sounds silly, but as a prop collector, and again, I have Raiders pieces, I have Indiana Jones pieces. It's this stuff, and then it's the movies you don't think of
Right.
too. But again, if you have been wanting something from one of the Indiana Jones movies, man, find a bunch of buddies and go in on the bugs, go in on the swords. I mean, these are great prop pieces that are instantly recognizable. Check it all out. Treasures of Planet Hollywood, the big auction, March 20th through 24th. Go to ha.com, check it all out. And through the March 18th, you can come here to Beverly Hills. All of this is on display. Come and take a picture with it. It's all pretty great. You can kind of check it out yourself. And check out the rest of our Heritage Auction Treasures of Planet Hollywood videos available at the Stuff Dreams Are Made Of YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/@thestuffdreamsareMadeOf.